Hello, this is Jared Feldman, and this is going to be a trace through the cardiovascular system for Unit 5. Here is the diagram that I'll be using to trace blood through the system, very simply depicted, but I will walk you through it. We start with the blue, which represents deoxygenated blood, and we have the pink, or the red in real life, which represents oxygenated blood. The purple zones on the top, bottom, and sides represent capillary zones, where oxygen and other nutrients are transferred between the vessels and the tissues to maintain our metabolic needs. And for structures, we have the heart in the center and the lungs, where blood is oxygenated on the two sides. We're going to start at the purple star right here, which is located in the superior vena cava, which is the main and largest vein that we have in the body. We also have the inferior vena cava right here, and this runs from the lower vasculature and the upper vasculature, deoxygenated blood into the heart. Once we're here at the purple star, deoxygenated blood is going to enter the heart through the right atrium, which is the upper right chamber of the heart, and it's going to go through the tricuspid valve into the right ventricle. And a way to memorize which valve comes first, if you're tracing blood, if you're starting from the right atrium, if you start from the right atrium, you always want to try before you buy. That's sort of how I remember which valve comes first. So right atrium, through the tricuspid valve, and into the right ventricle. Then we're going to go through the pulmonary semilunar valves, which are valves that lead to the pulmonary veins on the sides right here, going into the lungs. The blood is still deoxygenated, so it's still blue, even though you would think it's the other way around, but blood goes through the pulmonary veins and into the lungs, right and left lung right there. Blood is then flown through the capillary zones, where oxygen from the lungs, from the air that we breathe, is transferred into the vessels, and now blood is oxygenated. So that's why when we leave the lungs, we go through the pulmonary arteries. The pulmonary arteries lead into the left atrium, which is the upper left chamber of the heart, through the bicuspid valve, try before you buy, and then into the left ventricle. From the left ventricle, we flow through the aortic semilunar valves, which lead to the upper and lower portions of the aorta right here, which is the largest artery in the body. And now blood is oxygenated and ready to be pumped through the body in order to transfer nutrients and oxygen so we can maintain our metabolic needs. So goes to the upper vasculature, where like our head and neck and chest are, and the lower vasculature, our legs and our feet and things like that. After these vessels release all of the oxygen and release all of the nutrients, now blood is deoxygenated through the capillary zones up here. And then now we're back flowing through the inferior and the superior vena cava back into the heart so the system can repeat itself. I talked about arteries and veins, but there are other vessels that become more branched and become smaller. So we have arteries. We start with the aorta, which is the largest artery, flows into regular arteries, which are a little more branched and a little smaller. Then we go into arterioles, which are even smaller and even more branched, which reach more nooks and crannies of our muscles and our tissues. And then we have capillaries, which are the smallest vessels in the body. We have over 60,000 miles of capillaries all throughout our body, just so we can distribute the proper amount of oxygen and nutrients so we can maintain our needs. Then from the capillaries, we go into venules, which are small veins, more branched, and then we go into veins, and then we go into the superior and inferior vena cava. I believe I hit everything on the list, and that is a pretty accurate depiction of blood flow, so that is my trace of the cardiovascular system. Thanks.